Good morning to you, viewers of High Television. You are welcome to the midweek edition of the program Press Brief this Wednesday morning, the 6th of December 2023. On this program, the peoples always come first. We'll be back to give you what's they're saying. Hello there, viewers of High Television. You're welcome to this presentation of Press Brief. For presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Sabot. We'll start off with Lamiteo for today. Lamiteo talks of the energy and water sector. He says, what action is the Ministry of Energy doing for 2023? You can find more on that paper of Lamiteo for this morning. And we take you to this one for the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurence Itundingwa, who says henceforth obscene music won't be welcome on school premises during graduation or ceremonies in primary schools. Get to read that on the minister's take on page 3. We cross over now to municipal updates for this day. Municipal update says to boost rural electrification, 6 councils to host 360 solar power plants. You can find that story on that said paper. Cameroon-Gabon relationship. It says Biya receives new Gabonese leader, that is the military junta head of state today. Local development, Camtel showcases commitment to foster decentralization drive. We'll move away from that paper to Loju. Loju of Hamana for this morning says the threats Loju for today talks of the threats that weighs in the Cameroon gas sector. You can find that story on Loju for this morning, and great to read that story on page 6. We remain with Loju this time around with Albert Mambo Maka. The paper talks of a medical doctor who presents the different problems facing the health sector in the country. This one as they build up to the elections of the Cameroon Medical Council draws near. MTN Elite Championship. It says the first phase of the victory for the season is given to Leopard de Douala. Get to read that story on that publication for this morning. Quotidian Economy for today talks of the trajectory. The paper reports on the scan of Thierry Hotz. You can find more on that paper for this morning. We'll cross over now to this other story for today. That is on that set paper on Loju. It says the iron ore deposit of Lulabe and Balam and Vini is the first discussion between Cameroon and the Congolese government gets underway in Brazzaville. Moving over to ladies news for today, it talks of CPFF of Yaoundé 4. It says the 2023 Vantage Call Dolphin Sanga promotion. You get to read more on that said paper. Ghislaine Hortes Isomba, the principal of Balade High School in Yaoundé, says man is not always a wolf to a woman. This one her take on the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence in Cameroon and the world. And we remain with 16 days activism against gender-based violence. The paper reports on the work of Hercule and Ajak Kodaf. You can get to read more on the Orange months dedicated to the fight against gender-based violence. We move over to the voice of Ndonga Mantung. The voice of Ndonga Mantung says, but for some 2023 football final trials, you can find that paper on that story on that set paper for today. Carrefour Boys FC triumph in trailing encounter with Kofsa FC of Ndonga Mantung. Away from that paper, let's make a move over to Cameroon Tribune for today. It says Cameroon Gabon, the meeting of the summit meeting between Brice Oligui Nguema and the Cameroonian President Paul Biya. We talk on the management of migrants. It says Cameroon UN in harmony. You can get to read that story on page 3 on Cameroon Tribune for today. Sports federations. The paper reports on ending wrangling, rocking the various sports federations in the country. La Flambird for today talks of Pierre Javet Quet too. It says we want Paul Biya to be our candidate for the 2025 presidential election. Just to reiterate, he is a member of the CPDM political party. Celestine Archie says the passion for cassava. You can get to read that story on page 6 on that paper of Le Flambleu. Cooperation ties in the sub-regional level. The paper reports on the tete-a-tete meeting between the Gabonese military junta head of state, that is Brice Oligui Nguema, and Paul Biya, who will be meeting today at the Unity Palace of the Republic. The Nation for this morning talks of Army explain accidental drone attack on villagers. In asset paper, the Central Bank of Nigeria blames cash crunch on uneven flow of huge withdrawal. We'll take you to the Japa syndrome in Nigeria. That is a phenomenon to travel out of the country. It says Nigerian kill wife in UK over bills. You can find more on that human interest story of the Nation on page 28. Less than 4 hours show for today talks of the indefinite strike action of some bar owners who says they will be taking an indefinite strike action if the brewery companies fail to give their various promotion or prims owed them or that was supplemented. We move over to the delegation of water at the regional level. It says the delegate general of Cameroon Utility Water Corporation, Blaise Musa, gives a walking visit to some regions in the country. The Punch newspaper for this day says Kaduna village bombing, death toll hits 120 villagers, alleged military bomb twice. And in that said paper, Angshan presidential aircraft by the bidders gets December 24 deadline. Power Finance Ministry gets 618 billion naira for loan as CSO kicks. We take you to another human interest story on this paper. It says truck crushes woman amidst Lagos police Okada rider crash. And you can find that story on page 4 on that said paper for today. We cross over now to The Economist. The Economist for today says Biya strategies, unity, government ingestion. That is the take on Barrister Kerem Muna, Gabriel Libri, and Joshua Osi. Access Bank Cameroon making great strides in the Republic of Cameroon. China Exim Bank, China Silk Road Fund quote rescue Cameroon from uncompleted projects. And we'll take you now to this other story that says Cameroon government pays 5.7 billion to appease British company. We move away from The Economist. We cross over to Punch Sports Extra for today. It says Cape Verde 1, Nigeria 2. Aggregate score is 1-7. As the paper titles that as Maroc, here we come. We will move over to Paris Saint-Germain, who hopes to tempt Kylian Mbappe with a new deal. And in that said paper, Punch focus on Chelsea progression. You can find that story on page 9. Taking you now to the next paper for today, Diapason talks of General Oligui Nguema, the supreme unction. You can find that story on Diapason for today. And the promises of the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Ngannou Djumisi, for 2024. Get to read that on page 5 on Diapason for today. From Diapason, we cross over to Mutation for this morning. Mutation of Thierry Diaga have as lead stories. Mutation of Thierry Diaga have as lead story. It says the Cameroon Council medical order. The paper report on the state of stationery and Cameroon Congo relationship. The goods mine a business. You can find more on that paper as some Cameroonian ministers were receiving audience by the Congolese Prime Minister. Away from that, we cross over to this other publication of the Politics newspaper for today says presidential elections 2025. It talks of the three big figures of that will be getting into the presidential election. As they say, the Cameroon political landscape in mutation. You have the likes of Cabral Libri and the likes of Serge Espoir Matomba, not forgetting the president's son, Olivier Bia, Frank Emmanuel Bia. And we'll take you to the National Assembly on the various disposition and worries preoccupying the minds of MPs who took to the restroom to find out from the Prime Minister Dr. Joseph Dion Guti regarding some key worrisome issues in the Republic of Cameroon. Eagles Eyes News, Ekoti Parliament for today talks on the fight against malaria. It says senators are preoccupied in the health sector of Cameroon. And in that said, National Assembly, the paper report on National Assembly Economic Affairs Committee sharpens skills to master new mining codes. And we move over to the silence of the various Commission of Finance and Budget in page 12. You can find that story on that said paper for today. Ecosante for today talks on the fight against malaria. It says the Ministry of Public Health reassures the Cameroonian population regarding the effectiveness of the malaria vaccine to children and other persons. And we move over to African traditional medicine. The paper talks on how African traditional medicine can be quite beneficial to the Cameroonian public. La Voix du Consommateur newspaper talks of the on the country, how the country is in darkness following a news inability to carry on with work regarding the hundreds of billions owed her by the state of Cameroon, as the paper titles that as December in darkness across Cameroon. We transit over to hydrocarbon products. The paper reports on more towns and cities are dried as filling stations don't have fuel and other hydrocarbon products. And we'll cross over to the northern region of the country with Lloyd Sahel for today. It says higher education. The paper titles that as a rescue plan of the University of Ngaoundéré. You can find that story on the said paper for this morning. Far North region, the paper reports on 3 million hectares of land that have been degraded. You can find that story on page 5. Adamawa region, the paper reports on the discourse when it comes to road safety and road construction. You can get to read that story on that said publication for today. CPDM publication of L'Action, a report on the 2024 budget. It says the take on the CPDM political party. And we move over to this one from Bamenda. Nigerian Consul General for the Southwest and Northwest region, Ambassador Lawan Bapa, pays a diplomatic working visit to the Northwest region as he was heartily received by the governor of the Northwest, Lilila Africa Adolf, and the Nigerian community. You can find that story on that said paper on page 2. We crossed over to this other story on emergence for today. It says the health sector, some 35 million doses of animal vaccine was produced in Cameroon, as that paper reports for this day. Public Works, the paper says the Ministry of Public Works solicits for more than 550 billion CFA francs as budget for next year. Malaria, the paper reports on the new approach to eliminate the disease. You can get to read that story on page 5 on that publication for today. Echo Martin for this morning talks of pension of some former civil servants in the country. It says the National Social Insurance Fund, say NPS as is known by her French acronym, gets into work. And electricity, how the Nakshigal Dam can put the Globek and others under high pressure. You can find that story on the said paper for today. We take a bow from this edition of the program for this morning with the last paper on our newsstands for the day. That is a PV d'Afrique that talks of the Meg Rabot. This is a new church that was inaugurated and dedicated, consecrated unto God. You can find that